All right, everybody, welcome to today's Vets daily vlog. Today I know it's a little bit late, but we're going to get after it. So today I had a great opportunity, a project I've been working on with one of my colleagues at ESU and the women's lacrosse team there. And, this was a project that took, a long time, a lot of talking, a lot of scheduling. And, today we finally got to actualize this thing and put it into action. So what we did, and the whole point of the activity and the whole day was to basically, the original thought was, we wanted to put the athletes through, and this really came from the lacrosse head coach. She wanted to kind of find out who the leaders on the team were, who was going to step up in times of adversity, times of stress, and pick up teammates, encourage, not judge, strategize for problem solving in ways that related to the playing field, and things that helped build positive team culture. She was looking for those candidates and wanted to do an event that matched that through a stressful application from an outside entity. So basically, this coach, she wanted to pair up with, she works with a sports psychologist that is actually at ESU that works for the team, and me and this sports psychologist, we have a pretty good, relationship in the sense of, I've worked with her, she's worked with me, and we got to talking about all these ideas about, what's going to happen and how we can, pick relevant tasks that will stress the group in the sense of, they need to decide, they need to problem solve, they need to, have people make decisions, have people step up, but do it under stress, physical stress, and stress from, having, all these environmental factors. And so today was the day that we actually put this thing into motion. And one of the main parts was we had our sports psychologist had her colleague from Penn State who actually he's the performance psychologist for almost every team at Penn State. So his whole job really is to just get people aware of what good culture on a team is, what good mindset is, what confidence is, visualization, positive imagery, positive thinking, and just different team building principles, and what an elite championship team acts like. That's been his whole studies to what do they act like and how can we make other teams be aware of those things and act in those ways. And this was Dr. Carl Ohlson. And honestly, I took, about a page and a half of notes, and this guy was absolute money, you know what I mean? And he was right on point on a lot of things that, I think a lot of us coaches can start to be aware of. And we can use that not just for, telling our athletes how to be better, and change their lifestyle and, buy into, the program, but for us as coaches ourselves, because at the end of the day, us coaches, we're the leaders of whatever, group of athletes we're training, group of people we're working with, if you run a gym, if you own a business, then you're the leader of that. And if you own a company, if you run a strength and conditioning program at a college, we're the leaders, right? We are it's our deal, and we have to make sure that not only do we hold our athletes accountable to these lifestyle and, these techniques and, behaviors and attitudes and thoughts that, foster elite championship, athletes and teams. If we don't hold ourselves to that same standard, if we're not trying to do the same things, then we can't expect that to happen from our athletes. So I'm just going to go through and talk about the notes that I wrote, and just if there's anything that resonates with any of you, I really hope you can use that, and maybe you needed to hear that. So I'm just going to rattle through this real quick. So one of the big things is, about, Dr. Carl had said is, championship thinking really is, like, you can break it down to the fact that every thought, like everything you do begins with a thought, but it's the quality of that thought that dictates the next action. And then those thoughts also dictate the language, the action, and the behavior. So if everything starts from here, no matter what you're doing, if you boil everything we do down to, like, as humans, it begins here, right? So if you can't master the thoughts that are going on in your head, and they're not quality thoughts that are using the right language and that are driving, like, positive actions and positive behaviors, you're not going to be able to be successful, or at least understand what success really means. So that was one thing that was awesome that he used. And now another thing he talked about was, to be great, it's a balance between training and trusting. So for the training, he had said that it's working forward to an opportunity, or looking forward to opportunities to get better. You got to love it. Like everything, like no matter what it is, like whether it's, it's the stuff you like and the stuff you don't, you have to find curiosity in those things, in training yourself, like in knowing and loving that, like your genuine passion and love for whatever it may be, whatever aspect of the process you are going through is, like, you have to find a way to love it. If you don't love it, then you're not going to live it. You know what I mean? And to really live it means to love it. It goes hand in hand. And then there's the trusting, and that really comes to building trust in yourself, in your training. Like, you want to seek purpose. So if you don't have a trust in yourself, because you don't have a purpose or that end goal in mind, then that training will be harder to look forward to want to get better, because you don't trust yourself to know what's coming forward. So that was a really good point that he made. Now, the thing about he talked about confidence, and I love this. So what he said is it's not, confidence isn't the central focus on the outcome. It's the central focus on the readiness. Like, and being confident doesn't mean that you're confident you're going to win, or you're going to have a good outcome. The confidence is in the process that you prepared yourself for that moment. So if you are confident truly, then you are going to be able to be content with whatever you've put in. You know what I mean? You use that confidence that you have, or you build true confidence by being as prepared as possible, doing everything you can to ready yourself for that moment. Like, if you have done that, if you have gotten yourself ready for that moment, then whatever your gut decision that you make in that moment following, like when you're coaching, when you're playing, when you're doing whatever, you have to be okay with that, and you can be content with that and confident in that because of all the work you've done in the back end. This is something I talked about, I think it was yesterday, about, us as coaches. It's the same thing, and I really, really, really loved how he was saying that. Now, another thing is, and also confidence comes from self-awareness, and this goes back to, the language of how the language you use about your thoughts. So what he says is, this is the last point I'll make. I'll come back to this another day, but he says, confidence is knowing what you're great at and dominating it, and knowing what you're not great at yet and making action to become great at it. Like, that's just awesome. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like, if everybody has their strengths, and a lot of people say like make sure you can't always focus on your strengths. Like, you really got to make sure you're focused on your weaknesses, and that's true. But it's like the stuff that you're good at, man, you dominate that. Like, that's awesome. And then you have that understand that the things that you're weak at, like, okay, I got a plan ready so that, like, I will dominate that. And that, I think, is a mentality that everybody should have about any aspect of life. And, so I'm running out of time. So that's what I'm talking about here. There's a lot of good stuff. I'll come back to this, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a good night.